All right, so this is the quick notes for Unit 7.5, Lesson 13. Um, the goal of today is I can apply what I've learned to analyze ways of reducing carbon emissions. The first one is, what is a carbon footprint? And this reads, a carbon footprint is a combination of carbon emissions. So the carbon that is let out through agriculture, through um, using your cars, your vehicles for travel, and how much of it you use, and the carbon reductions you have, how much carbon you save or remove from elsewhere through maybe solar or other uses, walking instead of, or riding a bike instead of driving somewhere. And it's measured per person or per group for a year. And so the lone problem we have here is a family of five tries to reduce their carbon footprint. This expression represents their carbon footprint measured in tons of carbon. So they use this expression, and our job is to go through and learn and calculate this expression and know the order of doing things. Okay, so one thing I like doing when approaching a problem like this is finding all the pluses and sometimes minuses, but finding all those pluses and looking and saying, I have a couple different problems to do here. I have this problem to do, which requires nothing. This problem to do, which requires nothing. This problem to do, which says 5 groups of negative 0.8 or 8 tenths. And this problem to do here, which is 2 groups of negative 2.4 or negative 2 and 4 tenths. Okay, so as I work this one out, this first part is 31 plus negative 4.4 plus now that 5 groups of 0.8. 5 groups of 0.8 or negative 0.8 is negative 0.8. That's once, twice, 3, 4, 5, or you can multiply them. So this gives me 40. Carry my 4. And I see I've lined up the decimals 4.0. So that's what goes there, 4.0. And it's negative because all of them, 5 groups of those negatives. And plus 2 groups of negative 2.4. Well, that's negative 2.4. And another group of negative 2.4, or 2 times that. That is 8, negative 4.8. Okay. So we talked to a couple of you guys about this. One way to approach this problem that might help you is separate them into groups. And the numbers are going to be one of 3 groups. You have positive numbers, negative numbers, and 0. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating groups. That 31 is 31 positives. 31 on, that's how much of a carbon footprint they have. Now the negatives are how they reduce it. And in the negatives, we have 3 different negatives. We have a negative 4.4. And I'm not writing the negative because I have it up here, but you can. Negative 4.0 and negative 4.8. And then I'm going to tally them. And let me rewrite that line. I'm going to tally them. I still have 31 positives, but now I have negative. Line up my decimals. That's 12. Carry my 1, 4, 8, 12, 13.2. All right, I have 31, and I'm taking away 13.2. Okay. I'm going to do that right over here. 31.0, take away 13.2. Okay, I don't have enough to take away from here, so I'm borrowing 10 from there, and that becomes a 0. 10 minus 2 is 8. I don't have enough to take from here, so I'm going to borrow 10 from here. Okay, and 10 minus 3 is 7, and that leaves me 2 here. 2 minus 1 is 1. 17.8 is their carbon footprint. Okay, and then finally, 2.2 says taking one less airplane flight changes your carbon footprint by negative 0.9 tons. That means it's taking it down. So if you choose not to take a flight, instead going a different route, you're going to save zero point 0.9 tons of carbon per flight. Do you think it's reasonable for a family to become carbon neutral? That means if you have 31 like this one, to get it down to zero by not taking flights. Explain why or why not. And that's on you.